Say hello to Big Boy Contol, who, yes, can play an Avenger on turn 4. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm going to be doing a deck tech video for Big Boy Contol, Admiral, Piett, Capital Ship, Nonsense Ramp. I love this deck. This is my favorite deck in all of Set 4 Star Wars Jump to Lightspeed. For Star Wars Unlimited, it might just be my favorite deck in the game now. I mean, I love Cad Bane, but man, Piett, I love playing big fat monsters, and this deck does that and more. So, Big Boy Contol, Admiral Piett, the pilot of the Big Boy Contol deck, is pretty simple. It's a green and black leader that says that as an action, you can play a capital ship from your hand, and it'll cost you 1 less to play. And once you have 5 or more resources, you can deploy Admiral Piett into a 2/7 that makes each capital ship you play cost 2 less to play, which is really powerful. And while, yes, this is not an aggro deck, and this is kind of like a more mid-gamey deck, or a controlled deck, a kind of deck that can't really last that long in this kind of format. I get that. But to make up for that, I got the Colossus as the base of this deck. The main reason, well, one of the main reasons I think that Piett should be running blue instead of red. The Colossus is a 35 health base that says you draw 1 less card in your starting hand, which is a downside, yes. But there are ways to get card advantage in this deck with something like a Dr. Pershing, for example. A very powerful card in combination with a Superlaser Technician, might I add. But either way, Colossus, even though you only get to draw 5 cards in your starting hand, you get 5 more life than any other opponent that you're going to be facing off against. And if you're playing against a pretty popular deck like, I don't know, Sabine Wren, who has a 25 health base in ECL, I mean, that's a 10 life point difference, which makes you racing one of the best decks in the game that much easier to do, even though she's an aggro deck and you're a control deck. That 10 life point difference can make a massive difference when you're playing units as big as the ones in Admiral Piett. So this deck has a pretty simple game plan, in my opinion. You ramp, you control, and then you play big, fat space units. Very, very simple. The cards you're going to be wanting to get down in the early game are something like an Admiral or a Dr. Pershing and Superlaser Technician, like I've already mentioned. Very, very good cards in combination with each other, especially to allow you to ramp pretty easily. In addition, there is Peace or Price on your head, which is a pretty good way to ramp. Basically putting a bounty on your thing, on an opponent's thing, and then the second that thing dies, you get a resource, which is great. And that's, in addition, you got Resupply. Another way for 3 resources to ramp you. And then you got Resupply Carrier, a 6 resource 4/5 space unit that's a capital ship that when played puts the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So you got 12 ways in the deck to ramp. And Dr. Pershing is a great way to allow you to make Superlaser Technician that much easier to ramp with, even if your opponent doesn't have ground units. You know, like a certain Wedge Antilles, Luke Skywalker, something like that. In addition, to make sure that even if you don't draw something like a Dr. Pershing, Superlaser Technician in those worst matchups can still ramp you with something like a Merciless Contest. A very early way to interact with the opponent, making each player sack one of their characters, non-leader units. And Superlaser Technician can be yours, and then whatever your opponent's got, I mean, it could be really bad for them. They could lose something like a red 5 or something, just a really powerful unit. And then all of us, yeah, you ramp, your opponent loses their best thing, you're feeling great, your opponent's not. And then other ways to control, you got Power of the Dark Side as a good 3 of, basically a one-sided way to make your opponent sack a thing. Perilous Position as a 2 of, a good card to make your opponent's thing a little bit smaller and have to wait a turn to attack. Fell the Dragon, a good 1 of to get rid of those really, really big units that you're facing off against. Great 1 of in my opinion, even though a lot of this meta right now is very small. Great against basically another Piett deck or another controlled deck like Piett that's going to be playing big units. Takedown, as a 3 of, is the best piece of interaction still in this game, in my opinion. It can take down Sabine Wren. It can take down a lot of flipped 4-drop leaders. It can take down some very early game space units, ground units, just really, really powerful pieces that can completely shut you out of the game. No Glory Only Results is another good one of. It's a better Vanquish, basically. It takes control of a non-leader unit, then you defeat that unit. So if you're playing against something like a K2SO, a lot of the time, you would normally just defeat that, and then boom, you take 3 damage to the face. So no matter what, you're taking damage from K2SO. But with no Glory Only Results, you get to take K2SO, and then you reap the rewards for K2SO dying. Your opponent only has 1 card left in their hand, boom, make them discard the last card in their hand. Your opponent has low life and you need to get the last points of damage against the opposing Sabine deck, boom, deal 3 damage to their face, and now it makes it that much easier for you to kill them. In addition, I got Rival's Fall as a 2-of. I might go down 1 copy of this and up 1 more copy of Perilous Position or an Admiral Piett. I'm not 100% sure. Because this card does take up pretty much your entire turn when you play it, and it only gets rid of 1 threat, which can be a bit of a unfortunate thing for you, but it is still an incredibly good card nonetheless. And then there is Turbolaser Salvo as a 1-of. It's an event. It's a 7-cost event that says choose an arena, and then a friendly space unit you control deals damage equal to its power to each enemy unit in that arena. It's basically a board wipe, and it costs 7 resources. That is insane. Sure, it only goes after 1 arena, but it is still incredibly powerful and a very solid 1-of. In addition, I got Superlaser Blast as an actual board wipe. It is all units. However, it's an 8-cost event that says defeat all units, including yours, which is worse than Turbolaser Salvo. But if you need ways to get rid of everything, Superlaser Blast can be very helpful for you there. Depending on how the meta shifts, I might go down 1 copy of this, up 1 copy of Turbolaser Salvo. Just depends. But either way, very, very good card. Then kind of getting to all the capital ships of the deck, all the things that your deck's going to be taking advantage of the most. I do want to bring up Admiral Piett before I go any further. It's a 2-cost ground unit, 1 of your earlier drops. It's a good 2-of. It's a 1/4 that says each friendly non-leader unit that costs 6 or more gains ambush, which is great. Allows your deck to have that much more removal, basically. It turns all of your big capital ships, because there is no unit in this deck that that's not a capital ship, that costs less than 6, all your capital ships cost 6 or more resources, is what I'm trying to say. Admiral Piett turns them all into a semi-removal spell, which is great. But the first capital ship that I got is Gladiator Star Destroyer, a 6-cost 5/6 space unit that, when played, gives the unit Sentinel for the face. Really good way to slow down the opponent. If you're playing against an all-space deck, you can play this, give it Sentinel, and then boom, they got to get through this massive thing. And if they don't, then it just takes them that much longer to kill you. I've already talked about Resupply Carrier, which is a capital ship again. Very, very, very powerful thing to ramp into. I got, I don't know what it is, Assault Cruiser, whatever the first word is, Assault Cruiser. It's an 8-cost space unit, 7/8 ambush. When this unit attacks and defeats a non-leader unit, you basically take it, put it down as a resource under your control. Great ramp for you. It allows you to ramp that much more, which is, again, really, really good for you. It's probably the best non-legendary capital ship in this entire deck. Well, it is the best non-legendary capital ship in this deck. Probably the best non-legendary card besides Takedown in this entire deck. But then there is Avenger, a 9-cost, 8/8. When played, on attack, your opponent sacks 1 of their things. Really, really good card. Devastator, 10 cost, 10/10, Sentinel, Overwhelm, when played. You get to defeat 1 of your opponent's units, basically. Annihilator, 11 resource, 12/12. When played, when defeated, you get to defeat 1 of your opponent's things. Search their deck for any number of copies of that card, and I'm pretty sure their graveyard too, and you get rid of them for good. And that's really good for you. I'm from hand, I think. But then Executor, an 11 resource, 12/12 Overwhelm. That when played, on attack, when defeated, you create 3 TIE Fighters. Malevolence, a 9-cost 7/7, exploit 4, restore 2. When played, you shrink 1 of your opponent's dudes by 4 power, and you can't attack for the face. Really, really good. I mean, all of the big capital ships in this deck just do so much work. A lot of them are one-ofs. Malevolence, Annihilator, Executor, they're all one-ofs. But Devastator, Avenger, the big legendary space units, those are both 3-ofs. And you might be thinking to yourself, how do you play Avenger on turn 4? Well, let me lay it out for you. And there's more than just this way to do it, but this is probably my favorite way to do it. Dr. Pershing, turn 1. And then you play a Superlaser Technician turn 2. You use the Dr. Pershing, deal a damage to the Superlaser Technician. You draw a card with the Dr. Pershing. And then the next turn, you're going in. You're going to have, I believe that would be what? 5 resources. And then you Admiral Piett, use his ability. And then you Resupply Carrier. And then, next turn, you play an Avenger. Simple as that. It's wonderful. Gotta love it. Absolutely wonderful. Gorgeous. Incredible. But yeah, this deck is incredibly fast. It's not fast, but it can get out big things really, really fast. It can control the opposing board states very, very efficiently. There are so many ways to interact in this deck. I believe there's pretty much everything in this deck can interact in some sense or another if you count the Admiral Pietts for all of your capital ships. And then if you're not counting that, then just all of the events that defeat things or interact with things or do something to opposing things, there are a ton of them. This deck, I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, it is not the most budget-friendly deck. It is a lot more inexpensive than you would think because a lot of these units, even though they're really good in this deck, are good pretty much nowhere else. Avenger is one of the few cards in this entire deck that's actually played consistently in other blue and black decks outside of this one. So Superlaser Blast, yeah, it's dirt cheap. It's like 10 bucks a copy. Devastator, 10 bucks a copy. And then Turbolaser Salvo, Annihilator, Executor, those are all one-ofs. And I believe all of those, once pre-sale prices go down, should be all under $10. And an Avenger is a $14 card. But then everything else in this deck is a rare, a uncommon, or a common. So that's great for you. This deck, even though it can be expensive for some of you, if you want a deck that is really fun and you just want to play a really big boy deck, you want to play big boys, this is the deck for you. No other deck in Star Wars can play units as big, as well as Piett can. You can do it with other decks, but you will lose. With Piett, you can win. And pretty easily, too. This is one of the best decks in the game, in my opinion. This version especially. Not a lot of people are on it, at least in my area, or that I've heard of online. But this version of Piett is incredibly powerful. Very, very strong. There are some budget capital ships that can be decently strong. You got Relentless. You can go up more copies of Gladiator, Star Destroyer. You can put some more Malevolences in the deck. You can put in Providence Destroyers. You can put in budget capital ships into this deck. Yes, and make it cheaper. But it will not be as strong as this version of the deck. So if you are interested in this deck, but you don't know if the price is right for you, if you don't think that you want to spend the money on it, try it out on online resources to where you can test play this deck in your free time whenever you have the time to. See if you like the deck, see if it's your style of deck, and if you like it, buy it, and trust me when I say it is about 50 times more fun in paper, and you will be playing, if you are the kind of person like me, an absolute freaking blast. But anyways, with all of that aside, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, it's completely for your own credits. Go out there and enjoy Big Boy Control.